Oh, we're gone.
Today, this is Socratic Discussion, block 1, and our first question of the day is, if freedom could be an animal, what animal would it be? Kate, what do you think?
I believe that if freedom could be an animal, it would be a raccoon. Everyone in the United States is familiar with freedom, and they will often confidently approach their freedom since people don't see raccoons as threatening. But when they try to mess with the raccoon, also known as breaking the law, the raccoon will bite the person, giving them rabies, which gets the person into trouble when talking literally. And this results in the rabies shot, or paying the price for breaking the law, which means certain freedoms will no longer be accessible to the person. So in other words, the person who got bit will no longer want to approach the raccoon or freedom. I like that idea. It's very, very nice.
That's very unique.
Very
unique way
good
of
details.
Unique way
I
of
like the quick
expression.
sounds like a real bit.
real calm.
Anyone have anything different than a raccoon? I put an eagle because it represents our nation as our national bird, and it has the ability to fly wherever it wants without being harmed.
I have the exact same thing.
I agree with that.
I disagree with you guys because I think that eagles are more likely to be held in captivity rather than some other animals. Like at zoos.
Freedom has restrictions.
What zoo
What
do you
do
know
you-
that has
Freedom to go restrictions.
Have you never been to a zoo before?
Freedom has restrictions. You can't just go out and shoot someone.
Oh, what's your animal then? What's your
Yeah.
I put a buffalo. You know why? Because
They have
bison
restrictions.
were one of the first animals we came in contact with when moving in westward expansion. When I think of buffaloes, I think of majestic creatures that freely roamed the lands of America before many humans inhabited it. Bison are not as often kept in captivity like the eagle, which is sought to represent our country. That's an interesting idea.
I do not agree with that. It's false
Could you
news.
name one zoo that has an eagle in captivity?
Yes.
Do you want me to look it up?
I believe the chicken is the best.
And why do you
I like
think
that
I think
idea.
it's freedom because, well, chickens are cool. No, most chickens are free.
What
What
evidence
about-
do you have to
How about
support
their
that? Aha! Yes, I was right.
What's my?
Look at a buffalo. I bet they're-
I have no evidence.
I have
Do
a-
they produce anything that gives life to a lot of people?
eggs?
Yes, they produce the wonderful egg.
What about any other farm animal that be represented as freedom?
Yes.
I mean, chickens are kind of captive.
Are the
Just
Our
like-
chickens
just
free.
It's like a whole.
The buffalo is
This is a list of all the zoos that contain eagles captive. Oh, hold on. Thank you. Oh, wait, look, there's another page.
What is your definition of captive though?
In the zoo?
Like
They're not free if they're in the zoo.
Neither are bison. Bison
Bison
bison are in
Yes.
zoos.
Yes,
they
they
are.
are.
Less zoos than eagles.
Less zoos than these.
All right, moving
Okay.
on.
So
Next
when I
question.
was thinking about this metaphor of how we can compare freedom to an animal, I believe that freedom can be represented as a chameleon. A chameleon changes color based on its surroundings, and that's how I see freedom. Freedom is relative and can be situational. To practice true freedom is to impose on the freedom of others, as we learned in our previous lesson. And so we must adapt to our environment when exercising our rights.
Although my idea was different than Taylor's, I agree with her statement and think it is a very intelligent response. I agree with that statement.
Kendra, what did you have?
I had a zebra because all the laws are black and white, like the zebra stripes, but all the zebra stripes are different because everyone has different freedoms depending on what they do. Yeah. I like that idea.
I like that.
That's a very
That's
interesting.
very, I like how you referenced the laws. And
It's
that
to
the
the
laws are
stripes.
represented by the stripes.
That's an interesting idea, but I have an animal very different from yours. I put that I believe an elephant is an animal of freedom. I think this because an elephant represents the Republican Party, and I believe they have more freedom.
Why do you believe
They're
that?
held captive.
Defense of strength.
They are not held captive in zoos.
They are.
Well, Republicans believe in more capitalism, whereas Democrats believe in democratic societalism, and that has more restraints than capitalism. See your point.
Good point.
Does anyone have anything else to add? If not, we'll move on to the next question. Which ways of protesting are most effective?
I believe that any type of protesting that doesn't involve violence is the most effective, since they all serve the same purpose, which is drawing people's attention to a certain issue to try to stop it, or try to stop what they see as an issue. And for evidence, I use my personal experience from what I have seen on the news and social media. Whenever there's a protest that turns violent, it's instantly seen as negative, and people don't want to support the issue. Using historical evidence, when women were protesting to fight for their rights, they were drawing attention to what they considered to be an issue, and this sparked support.
I agree with that statement because violence doesn't solve anything and peaceful ways can be very effective.
There's evidence for what Kendra is saying in the text when we read about Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech and the March on Washington.
Yeah, I agree with that statement, and I would like to add that at that speech there were over 250,000 people marching for that, and it was very successful.
I agree with you guys, but in comparison, sometimes peaceful protest is not a way to get the attention you seek. Violent protests went on in Alabama during the Civil Rights Movement, which was quickly noticed by the U.S. Capitol.
I see your point there, but unpeaceful protests make people think that the cause is negative, like Kate said, and it makes people see the rioting and maybe aversion to the laws. People don't want to support that. See your point.
I had the same thing as Kinsey. I said peaceful protests don't go out as much as violent protests. Like, what would you see on the news? People like tearing down lampposts, or people holding up signs.
I agree with Emily's point in counter argument because the negative violent protests have harmful connotation associated with it, so that doesn't make people want to join that cause.
I see your point, and I think that peaceful protests are more effective. An example of this is the Women's March in 2017. It was one of the latest peaceful protests in American history. There were an estimated 4.2 million people, and they were successful in getting their point out and celebrating their accomplishments.
I also have that as
How do they get the point out?
Because there are so many people that the news have to cover it, and when you watch the news, you see that. So,
And more people are more likely to join a peaceful protest than a
Yeah.
violent.
People protest every day outside the White House. Every week.
If it's not my idea.
Yeah,
It's
not
always
many
peaceful.
people know about those protests because it's peaceful. Not much happens.
Do you
that
have
one
evidence
was
to
like
back up your idea?
4 million.
Yeah, do you have evidence?
Any news?
What's a violent protest that was successful?
What's a peaceful protest that was?
Women's
March.
March.
Yeah,
Besides that.
Martin
Martin
Luther
Luther
King's
King.
March.
Okay. Moving on.
I feel like a good way also is through social media. Now that social media is really, really big, everyone has it, all teenagers, mostly adults. And so if you put something on social media, it's more likely to be seen by a lot of people.
I agree with that.
I agree with the statement, and I think we're all talking for thinking peaceful protests.
Yeah.
Key, would you like to-
Opinion different
More
than that idea?
That's been more effective than word out and more.
I feel like
It may
even though we
take-
have differing ideas, we can all agree that all types of protests get a point across.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying.
All right, moving on to the next question. Does a divided country cause humanity to struggle?
I say that it does. A divided country will cause different views in different places. So if it's divided, one person might think something differently than the other, and it'll cause divides in, I guess, humanity overall.
I agree with Caleb because each part of the country needs something from the other. So they kind of rely on each other. And if they're not with each other, then they can't really grow.
I love you. It's how we talked about the North and South splitting, which led to the Civil War.
I agree with all of you because I think that during the Civil War, America struggled immensely financially, emotionally, and politically. Since our country was divided, we did not have the same political views, as Caleb said. The South was for slavery and the North was against it. This tore our nation apart, and I think that the war put us farther in debt, and our community did not have really low morale.
I agree with Kenzie's statement because using the Civil War as an example, it caused the country to struggle and turn against each other, and this kind of put the country was facing a lot of adversity at this time, and using the perspectives on Lincoln propaganda as evidence, it showed that many people were finding ways to criticize either the North or South and use reasons other than the slavery issue to tear each other down.
I agree with your statement, and I would like to add a visualization to that. I believe that the American society is like a pendulum. On one side is the other is the public, and the people in the middle are the American people. And I believe that when the piece of gets swung back and forth, it hits the people in the middle and causes inherent struggles.
That's an interesting idea.
I like the myth.
Said yes because people will always be arguing and it takes longer for decisions to be made in the government, so nothing will be done during this time of the divided country.
Does anyone have any counterclaims?
I personally don't really see a point where a divided country fighting the whole time is better than a country that is united.
But I think that we do get good things out of it. I feel like we come back more unified from our struggles.
All right, moving on to our final question. Why do some people have power and some don't?
I believe that everyone has a power. It depends on if they use it or if they don't use it.
Yeah.
So Rosa Parks, when she was on the bus, she spoke up, but there's been many Black people who are sitting in the back of the bus who didn't speak up. Therefore, she used her power and she spoke up.
I agree.
with that statement because I believe that the only way to have power is to stand up for what you believe in. If you're sitting back and complaining yet not taking action, you're not making a difference. People who fight for their wants have more power than the ones who don't because they're making a difference.
I agree with that, but I think it's the popular opinion that makes people have power, because if it's a popular opinion, people will stand behind it. Like,
Mackenzie, what's your opinion?
I think it's something that your life shapes you into the person that you are. That gives you the power to change the world. You have to be willing to take that action. You have to have the determination to use your actions in order to change. You will never know if you don't try.
So you're saying everyone has power and everyone has
Yes.
yeah, but some people aren't noticed as much because their opinion is not.
Kind of like you said, there's power in numbers. So if you get a group of people rather than a single person fighting for something, it's more effective.
I said people are capable of using these powers, yet they choose to protest and say they don't.
You have evidence to back up your ideas.
I mean, I feel like if there's like a protest going about over power, I feel like anyone would join in on that. Like, because like what KJ said, if one person's doing it, like a large majority of people are doing it, a lot of people will follow behind and just like, for example, if KJ, Dubs, Q, this whole group did something, and I see that as like I should go do it too.
That is an interesting point, Caleb, but I see it in a different way because I believe that everyone has the power, but some people may not want the power or the struggles that come with it. And I believe this because there are some people that are born leaders. People with more courage are normally leaders, such as in the Brown versus Board of Education case with anti-segregation laws in schools. On page 365 in our book, Brown versus Board of Education, the opinion of the court, it says we can prove in the field of public education the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. And I think it's important because they led the struggle, because they had the courage to speak up against the power.
That's very good. So it sounds like we all agree that everybody is capable of having power. It's just a matter of whether they want to use it or not.
Good to end on a summary. Oh, guys, you guys did such a good job of using your discussion connectors. And actually, I remembered the thing that I had forgotten to remind you of or prompt you of before we started was to agree and disagree with ideas. And generally speaking, you did a really good job of that. Okay, outside circle. What did you observe on the inside circle that was fantastic? Well, they did great. Challenge one another, yeah.
Everyone spoke of their ideas.
Oh, yes, okay. And being able to challenge in a respectful way allows you to openly express, right? Good, what else? Just a minute, wait, everybody sit down. Yeah, evidence. We used some from the book, we used a lot from, where else?
The world.
Society, the world, yeah. Good. What else was great about the inside circle? What could you see as improvement from the first time?
More discussion.
More discussion. Did you feel that you were more prepared?
Yes.
Just simply because you knew what you were doing?
Yes. We were more.
Okay.
It's the first time jitters.
Other comments?
It flowed nice.
Yeah.
Partly
yeah.
because of the transition statements, but partly because we're all like comfortable talking with each other.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Things that outside circle that you'll want to keep in mind for improvement on what the inside circle did?
For the most part, everyone got involved, but at the same time, there was which you really didn't need it, but there was no, someone saying, there was a few times, but no one was really saying, what's your opinion, what's your opinion, what's your opinion?
Okay, so inviting people in who haven't shared in that particular concept.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Okay.
most people did it
Right,
by themselves, so
Right.
it really wasn't needed.
correct. Yeah. Anything else?
No.
Outside circle, could you hear the inside circle?
Yeah.
That's the only
Okay, so
thing
keep the volume up. All
I
right,
would say
switch
that
places.
was less than last time. No, I was in the circle. I would just change my opinion.
All right, again, let's put some of you outside circle participants over here. Remember, if you have the agree with, disagree with, incorporates, others, you are a discussion connector.
Where do we go?
Today's lesson plan, Friday, back channel. Yes. So yeah, those that have the list of agree or verbs with other words like agree with, disagree with, incorporates others, you are discussion connectors. Those who have the active verbs, asserts, claims, states, you are commentators, summarizers, using those words to describe the comments that are going on. And question, Casey? Okay. All right. Yes.
What am I?
Yes. Do you want to do girls, guys do guys? We'll do that.
Who am I?
What do you have? Okay, you're a discussion connector. Yeah, we're commenting on and recording what discussion skills are being used. Who's using which discussion skills and statements? All right. You say who's using which statements. Okay. So your focus is on the discussion skills.
One question.
Comment, the content, yeah, what you're saying.
Oh, I was
All right, we have
Okay.
Morgan, who will be stepping
We'll
in.
start with-
Time-wise,
We'll go opposite.
outside circle, when you were inside, did you feel 15 minutes was a rush or that it was a pretty good time
Reasonable time.
for our 4 questions? If you get done, do you have to stick to these 4 questions? No, you can always ask your new connection questions. Okay, so they begin.
Alright, so our Socratic discussion is about Unit 2, the individual in society, and Unit 3, power, protest, and change, and how that was accomplished. We're going to start off with the question, why do some people have power and some don't?
I put this is because some people focus on themselves and no one else, and this can be bad for them because people will not want to support that person. However, someone who focuses on their relationships with others instead of their performance can increase it.
That's an interesting idea. It kind of goes with what I had said. My claim is that people often, I believe that everyone has power. It's just some people believe that they don't due to the fact that they don't have the fame or the wealth to. But there's many examples such as who I chose for my informative essay, which is Susan B. Anthony. She didn't have any fame or wealth, but she still was able to voice out her power through her movements and protests, in her peaceful protests and stuff like that.
I agree with that because I wrote about Harriet Tubman and she came from nothing, and she was able to change the lives of many just by focusing on her relationships with them, not just herself, because she escaped with her siblings, but she didn't feel that was fair, so she risked her own life to go back and save other people.
Those are 2 great examples of people that are just capable of using power and being a leader and doing what no one else wants to do. And I think that's the main reason why some people have power and some don't, is because 1, people are willing to take the risk. 2, some people don't care what others think. And I don't think that necessarily wealth and fame have a lot to do with it. It helps, definitely does. But you either are able to voice your opinion and be a leader, or you are just, you can't.
Excuse me, and I agree with that point that everyone does have a small amount of power whether they choose to use it or not. But some people just want others to make choices or have a responsibility of leadership, and so they either by election or by a chosen bloodline, they rule over them. And so by doing that, they give them the power willingly, and so they're all it's for the benefit of everyone in that arrangement.
I agree. I really think it boils down to people who are leaders and those who are followers. People who are great leaders and have many people who agree with their point, like their followers. Having a larger group, getting that point across a larger society, and yeah.
I agree with you, Sally. A lot of people that are known like to be powerful in the society today, I feel like it's more because they've earned the respect of others. So once they earn it, they get more followers, and then it leads to people thinking they have more power.
I agree with you both, but I have a different point of view. I think people aren't looking for total power. I think they're just looking for peace between their powers. And my evidence is President Woodrow Wilson gave us a speech called Peace Called Victory, like towards the end of World War I. And he said mankind is looking now for freedom of life, not equipoise of power, which means there's looking for a balance.
So what you're thinking is like no one wants the complete amount of power. They just want everyone to be like equal enough that everyone has power, basically.
I think there's some people who want all the power because we've seen that in history, but I think like the citizens of America are just looking for a balance.
Between what people?
Everybody.
So everyone should have the same amount of power. So like the president should be equal to, like power-wise, to like citizens.
Like the common people.
Like the common people.
Isn't he already?
I agree with that because despite what position you're in, you're always going to be held to this. Whatever nation you're in, you're still going to be held to the same laws and regulations.
Well, I understand that, but like you want all the citizens making big decisions like war, taxes, which I mean people vote on it because they vote people in Congress. But like you want every citizen to have that power.
I didn't say I wanted them
I think what she's more trying to say is that the people like it's not that they want everyone making common things. They're just trying to find a balance of power, so then they're not like constantly arguing over who has power and who doesn't have. Who doesn't have power. They just want to have like a balance. Like the balance would include probably the president having more power because he does make all those decisions, but the common people are like okay with it because that equals out the balance of things.
The president has been elected by the people to
So like
have that higher position of power so he can maintain balance.
Would it be important to define what power is?
in that statement, I think it'd be more like the power to make big decisions. Because I mean, like Nathan said, we did elect the president to make our decisions, so he kind of is our voice. He's just like
He also has
spokesperson for
different
it.
powers than the rest of the people.
But like we used our power to elect him to have those powers, so it's like a balance.
But what about the people that didn't want him to be president? There isn't a balance between those people because there's going to be people who always disagree with like the different side.
Unfortunately, that's where that's unfair because you know what, you may be in the minority and you might not give your voice, but generally, if the majority votes for something, it's going to be better with a lot more people. So it's just life isn't fair, but it'll be better for more people than.
I guess that could, I don't know, really, I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind.
That's fine.
Anyone have anything else to add?
I basically just agree with you guys.
I guess,
I said that everyone has power, just whether they use it or not.
in the comment of what about the people that didn't get their way in the vote, that could lead into this question as, does a divided country cause humanity to struggle?
I believe that a divided country doesn't directly cause people to struggle. I think it just it's a way to add on, because if you think about it, what I use is during the Civil War as an example, when our country was divided, we had struggles then, but look at it now. We're a united country, but we still seem to have struggles with other nations and stuff like that. So then and now we still have struggles. I don't believe that a divided country directly causes the struggles.
I agree with that. I don't think just a divided country causes humanity as a group to struggle, but if other people or tribes or nations are fighting alongside in that civil war for a particular side, like the war in Vietnam, both different countries were backing both sides, and so there was severe loss of life and casualties just because of that disagreement.
I agree with that, but I think that like the divided country makes it harder to become a unity because we do have the Republican side, the Democratic side, we have liberals, conservatives, but so like I think that different groups, they all strive for a different outcome. So we kind of like rebuttal against the opposing side. We want what we want. Like my side, we want this, and then that side, they want it, they want it. And so it can make it harder to come together and just kind of like have that balance.
I use like example of our country. I mean, we're heavily divided, and that causes disagreements. And example, like in Congress, we never get anything done because no one else wants to have an open mind and hear everyone out. They just want to have their own opinion, and that's fine. But that never gets anything done, and it just causes arguments, protests. And I think until we can stop calling ourselves a conservative or liberal and call ourselves Americans as whole and trying to view as a common cause, that's when we start getting stuff done.
I agree. So I think we all can agree on the fact that maybe it's people and their opinions who cause the dividedness and the struggles that we have today.
I agree with that. I think it's more just people like have the mindset that everything that they say, like they're not open to anything else that anyone has to say. So then it causes a bunch of tension, and then it like causes a divide in people.
What do you think, Casey?
Well, I think it does cause humanity to struggle because if people want different things, like the North and the South, the North didn't want slavery, the South did, and that caused the Civil War. So it does cause the nation to struggle.
It's a great example. Yeah, I think it just.
My example for this question was this like what led to World War II. So after World War I, Germany was they had to pay the Allied powers like $80 million or $80 billion. So they went into debt, and that just led to anger because everyone was starving, except for like the rich people. So they got angry, and then that kind of led to this divide, which led to World War II. And I think it kind of shows how humanity struggles because of what happened during World War II, like the Holocaust. And it just, like a division in a country kind of shows how things can really deteriorate if you're not united.
I feel like even though there is like division in people like in our society today, I feel like if something were to happen though, we'd still come together as like a unified country and like handle what needed to be handled.
I agree with that. And just like how some people don't like Trump as president, but he is still our president, so people aren't, accepting it more. And they're actually kind of paying attention to the things that he's doing. Even though like they don't agree, but they know that they can change the fact that he's our president.
I agree with that because, like, whether you like it or not, he's president.
It's not like you can change that.
So moving on to our next question. If freedom could be an animal, what do you think it would be?
I don't know if freedom can be described by one animal in particular. I used more like the whole, like Mother Nature as a whole, because there's a few pyramids, and obviously there's animals at the top, and they go down and down and down. And I think that's kind of what shows what our country is like, because we have upper, middle, and lower class, and that's honestly how I think that they would describe our freedoms.
And I like your point that Mother Nature as a whole, but I also feel that people identify with various characteristics of an animal, and so yes, everyone's opinion varies, but it might it just gives someone to identify with. So like mine's a butterfly. With humble beginnings as a caterpillar, it is shackled and wrapped in a cocoon of restrained oppression, only to break through and emerge even greater than before. And so, if you can overcome adversity, it shows you to be gorgeous too. So, it really, that's just my opinion on it. It doesn't have to be right, but
I agree with both of yours. I never thought of it the way you did, Bryce. So that's a really interesting way, and I guess I never put it in that way. So
It's like, yeah, I wouldn't think of like, freedom as like a little butterfly. Like, you know what I mean? I would think of it kind of like as a bigger animal. Like I had a cheetah because they're fast and keep up with other animals. It's like the United States is fast to keep up with the competing countries. You know what I mean? Like I thought of it kind of like as that general sense, not like I thought of it more of as a whole, not like as just like.
I also put cheetah, but I put because it has the ability to roam and do whatever it wants. Like there's not really any restrictions on it out in the wild, and it has the power and leadership.
Going off of what you two said, I kind of chose a cheetah too, but I used two animals, which is kind of I was supposed to choose one, but I think I wanted to use two because I have a guinea pig at home, and then when I give him its freedoms, like when I let him out of his cage once in a while, instead of roaming around or running like a cheetah would, if you let a cheetah out of the cage, he would just go out and hide in a corner or something. So if I give him his freedom, he would go out and just hide and stay still, while as if I gave a cheetah its freedom, it would just run like wild. So I guess it just depends on like the animal, and like us, it depends on the person. We see freedom differently.
Do you think that's because, has your guinea pig ever like lived outside of the cage?
Well, we got him when he was not when he was born, but 10. I looked it up, and guinea pigs are usually a little bit shyer than like they don't like to be roaming around as much.
So like, I guess what I was going was that has it ever been outside of like captivity? Like, you know what I mean?
Or is it just like you sustain in there? It doesn't really know what else to do.
Yeah.
Well, once in a while we try to like let him out, but he doesn't like. He doesn't like roam around a lot. He just
he decides to stay in a corner the whole time.
He likes his privacy.
Because maybe he hasn't experienced freedom. And I mean, like if you gave someone complete freedom, how do you think they would react to it?
Okay, well, I feel like if I gave him complete freedom, like I would lose him. So I guess that's a good point. I feel like, I don't know, if I gave him complete freedom, I would lose them, and then like I wouldn't know like how to feed him. So maybe there is restrictions in freedom. I'm not sure.
Because like a person that has never had complete freedom, they wouldn't know what to do with it.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of those points. But it's also I chose another one. Ants. I don't know what it is with insects, but each individual has the opportunity to go out and do whatever it wants to, but it decides to spend its life in service to the queen and the colony. All of them sacrifice some of their freedom to do what they want for the benefit of the colony, and so it gives them a place to call theirs and also a place to raise the next generation of ants. So.
I agree with what Bryce is saying, where like if someone doesn't have freedom, then they don't really know what like freedom was and how to exercise it. But then you could like say the same thing where if they had all the freedom and then you like constricted it, like it'd just be a completely different world. So yeah.
All right, guys, great discussion. Outside circle, what good things did you see on the inside?
There was a lot of
I
different
know.
ideas.
I like that.
Well, yeah, a lot of different ideas.
I like how they expressed their opinions.
Okay.
They didn't they didn't just follow each other.
Had a lot of
They set their own
challenges.
opinions.
Okay, good. And were they able to connect those without seeming offensive or other people getting defensive over it? Right, for the most part, yeah. Very good, very respectful, good. Use the discussion skills. What else? Some other good growth observations here from last time. Yeah, good eye contact, and that's important. Good eye contact is important. If you can't look someone in the eye when you're sharing your opinion, why not? Okay, it's a good thing. The same thing kind of goes along with you wouldn't say some of the things that you may tweet or say behind your phone. You wouldn't say that to them in person. Okay, so yeah, it's the same thing. When you're sharing your opinion, look them in the eye. Own what you have to say. Who was it that said that we've read in the last 2 units? And if you're wrong, if you change your mind the next day, say what you believe the next day. Who was that?
Abraham.
No.
It was
Good
Henry
try.
David Thoreau.
Yes, Thoreau. Okay. All right. You guys did a fabulous job. Thank you so much. Oh, and do you believe the discussion was better because you came up with your own questions? Is that any aspect of it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good job.
I vote 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes.